All right, if you're a motorcycle audio enthusiast, then you've come to the radio player, but a renowned brand in other categories stepping foot into motorcycle audio. Coast is going to talk us through the mindset, the philosophy, and the development of motorcycle audio products under the Wet Sounds brand. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. It starts now. And welcome to CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. Joining me now is Lee Teeples from Wet Sounds. Lee, good to see you, brother. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Good to see you too, Ben.
Well, listen, we're here to talk about one thing, a very important thing, and a big step for Wet Sounds, because as of this year, 2026, Wet Sounds is now officially in the motorcycle audio game. It wasn't so long ago that we saw each other in person back in Toronto at the CMA Expo show. You had some cool toys to show there. But this conversation is going to be about getting the folks tuning in to understand the offering that you have, the mindset behind the development. I know you know a thing or two about how all this stuff comes together at Wet Sounds for the product. So I thought you'd be the perfect person to have here. So what do you say we get into it?
Absolutely.
So motorcycle audio, we all know this is a big growing category. You know, there's so many audio enthusiasts, and it's a great, extension of our mobile audio community, right? You know, people want great sound, they want great music wherever they go, and there happens to be a lot of people that ride a motorcycle and want great sound. So let's start from the beginning, Lee. I can only imagine when the order came across your desk saying, "Hey, Lee, we want to get into motorcycle audio. What do you think we should do?" So talk us through a little bit of the mindset about the development of the motorcycle audio category for you guys.
Sure. I mean, for us, I think the category makes sense. It's a very demanding environment, probably the most demanding environment for audio. And, we've been in one of the other more demanding environments for, over 20 years now. The expectation of Wet Sounds products is that it lasts, holds up. People are going to beat them up. People are going to abuse the product. And that's kind of what the Wet Sounds brand has always meant. It kind of is that lifestyle. So motorcycle lifestyle goes hand in hand with that. It's a demanding environment, not just in, the elements, and that's all stuff that we're comfortable with, but if you know anything about the motorcycle lifestyle, these guys don't just cruise around town. Some of them do, right? But when you talk to the majority Harley customer, they hop on their bike and they go across the country. And when you hop in your car and you turn on the radio, you can only last so many hours with the radio cranked at full volume.
Right.
So the system's kind of constantly getting a break. On a motorcycle, you need all of it all the time. When you're on the bike, in order to be able to enjoy the audio, it's cranked full tilt the whole time. So to not only deliver the volume expectation to enjoy the audio, but to build product that can actually survive that, 8 hours a day, full tilt on the road, is really what the motorcycle audio is about. And that's the direction we took on, the products we created for it.
I'm going to echo what you're saying. Wet Sounds, coming from the background that you do, the marine environment is harsh, right? You're dealing with moisture, obviously, salt water, but you're also dealing with limited power supply, right? On a boat, especially, you got a cranking battery in most situations. Very similar parallels in motorcycle, right? Open air environment, elements, and again, limited power supply. So those, having all that said, those are the criteria. When you look back at, the planning stages of developing this product, knowing that these were the check boxes that had to be checked, what was the end goal for you at the end? What did you want to say when you came out of the other end of the tunnel and said, this is what we have?
We wanted to build something that more people could enjoy. So the most important points to hit on that was had to be easy to install, had to be consistently installed. So no matter who did the install, no matter where they did the install, the result was going to be the way that we expected it to be. And not only is that from an audio performance, but also from a durability performance. So it was really meant so that we don't ever know who our customer is going to be. We probably don't ever meet them or touch them. But we just wanted to make sure that this got to that person in the exact results that we predicted.
Okay, so predictable results was a key element in the design and development of the products. Okay,
Yep.
so for the record, so that the folks tuning in know what we're talking about, what exactly are you coming to market with as far as actual product and for what application?
Yep. So we started with the most bikes that are on the market. The currently the Harley-Davidson touring models from 2014 to 2023, both road glide and street glide, fairing styles. We start with a front fairing kit that's going to be basically your base audio package. Every one of those bikes has front speakers, so you kind of have to start from there. And then from there, we offer an upgraded saddlebag audio kit, and we offer an upgraded tour pack kit. And then for those that have the lowers, we offer an additional, basically fourth speaker location in the lower fairings as well.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is speakers. Speakers is what you're offering right now. There's no
Correct.
amplifier options at the moment?
So the amplifier options are going to, so with the front speaker kit, you're going to get the 4-channel amp
Mm.
that would power the tour pack speakers if you added them, and or the lowers if you added them. And then when you purchase the saddlebag kit, that comes with its own dedicated amplifier for the speakers going in the saddlebags.
So it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of like a stage kits, right? You can kind of choose where you want to begin and you can add later. Is that how it works?
You could definitely add later. Really, what we wanted to hit was, what the bike was set up to do. So if you have, like I said, most all bikes, all touring bikes have front fairing speakers. Um, if they have if they have a tour pack, they're going to want speakers in it.
Hmm.
So we wanted to make an application for that. If you wanted to upgrade your front fairing kit with the most popular grade is the saddlebag speakers, we wanted to have that as a separate kit as well. But if you have the location for the lower fairing speakers, then we wanted to make sure we made room for that as well.
Okay, this might be a rhetorical question, but I'm asking for the record. I'm going to assume, because in Wet Sounds fashion, these are really turnkey packages as far as what you need to get installed. So walk us through a little bit the complexity or what's included in the box, if you will.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that the actual install kit was as complete as it possibly could. We've looked at other products out there, and we just kind of wanted to make sure we checked all the boxes to make sure that the install was as painless for whoever's doing the install. So just little things like if there is a hole to be drilled, we include transparent stickers that use features on the bike to align the sticker that gives you the center point for where the hole gets drilled. So that hole is in the exact same place every time we do the install. We even include the hole saw to drill
Oh,
that
cool.
hole. So
Perfect.
once it's marked, and that hole is exactly the same every time. And then from the connections throughout the bike, I mean, these are really, really high quality harnesses throughout the bike.
I've seen those connections before, Lee.
Yeah.
They look familiar.
Well, I mean, they're used very heavily in the marine world. We've started using them across a lot of our marine products. They're durable. They're easy to service. They're easy to acquire. It's a solid connection. They're not cheap, but
No.
they're really the right application for this type of install.
As far as the level of complexity, difficulty level of replacing some of these speakers with your kit, how would you rate that?
I think it's on a pretty big scale how comfortable someone is working on their bike. If they've never worked on a bike before, this is still, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 4, a level 2.5
Okay.
install. The cool thing about these Harley bikes is once you've worked on one, you've worked on all of them. So from an installer standpoint, or even the garage mechanic that helps his buddy with his after he does his, the installation time is going to be cut, by a fraction, just from the comfort level of taking the bike off. The relatively easy vehicles to work on as it is, and really the most complicated thing about the install is wire management, mounting solutions, fitment, and those are things we've really all taken care of with the install kit.
Okay. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the components that you actually get with these kits, right? So obviously, If it's a lid kit, you have the lid. You're gonna have to cut out, the template like you showed, all the wiring. But let's talk about the drivers themselves.
Yeah.
When it came to designing or what type of speaker you want to use, obviously, the environment. We've already identified that. There's going to be a certain level of output that there's going to have an expectation from the user, right? So
Yep.
when it came to the actual drivers, what can you tell us?
So, again, going back to Wet Sounds' history, we've been known for years for our tower speakers. These are large drivers that produce, pro audio level output. And, the goal when we were playing with just power sports in general, I'm lumping motorcycle into power sports, we really need to have a driver that had the performance of our very large tower speakers, but really in a compact footprint that could be crammed in some of these tight OEM applications. So our Zero line was born from that concept. So it's not a marine first speaker. It's actually meant for more of an OEM application. But it wasn't even targeting just how do we get another in-boat speaker to be louder. The bar was really to compete with our tower speakers, but in that really small footprint. So when you look at the Zero Series drivers, they're solid little speakers. There's a ton of technology packed into them. There's a ton of cost packed into them. Not only can they produce just a ton of output, but there's a lot of mechanical things built onto them so that they can handle that 8-hour ride at full tilt. So Neo motors are nothing new in these tight applications. We use a really large Neo motor. So this is kind of a fun fact for anybody that knows anything else about the Wet Sounds product lineup. Our magnet that we use on our 06 is actually the same cost as the magnet that we use on our XXX15.
What?
Yeah.
Like there's
So
like
it's
4 times the size.
yeah. Obviously the for a magnet, the magnet on the Zero is really small, but in terms of neodymium magnets, it's actually really large. And then the trade-off with Neo motors is you don't have the surface area anymore of like a traditional ferrite magnet to dissipate the heat. And what are we doing with these speakers? We're doing two things. We're cramming them in really tall, really tight
Punishing them,
areas,
just absolutely
right?
punishing them. Yeah.
There's no air behind them, and then we're going to play them for 8 hours straight at full tilt. So there's a cast heat sink that's built onto the motor in the back of the speaker to really help gain back that surface area that you would have from a ferrite motor to get the heat out of the motor. So yeah, not only do we get the high performance Neo motor, but we get the durability that you would have out of a ferrite motor.
Can I add one comment about the Zero line of speakers?
Sure.
I mean, the Neo magnet, the technology is great. They're also kind of sexy. Not gonna lie. Like unfortunately, most people never look at the back of a speaker. We do because that's what we look at. The first thing we look at, but they are very. I mean, the basket, the way they design, they look like a high quality speaker before you even turn them on. So
yeah,
kudos
thank you.
part of that design.
That's the fun part of the job, right? It's you hear with your eyes before with your ears. Right?
Absolutely. So we talked about the speakers. You mentioned the amplifiers, part of the kit. So just for the record, obviously you're dealing with the power supply situation from a motorcycle, right? So talk to us a little bit about that.
So a couple things there. I mean, obviously, efficiency in the driver is a huge part of that. The other thing is, not that we aren't continuously experimenting with like a subwoofer type application on motorcycles, but that's where all your power consumption is. And getting usable subwoofer information on a motorcycle on the highway at 70 miles an hour, it's kind of that diminishing return.
Yes, diminishing return. Good way to put it.
So we really focused on what is that performance like at 70, 80 miles an hour on the highway, and how do we get the most out of performance there. So by not really focusing on what you're not going to hear when you're on the highway, we're able to kind of conserve that energy for the part of the music that you're going to hear. Allows you to even tell what song you're playing, right?
Is this like an ongoing dynamic system that's happening, or is it kind of?
Yeah, so that's one of the really cool things we have built into the DSP. In the background, there's dynamic processing happening, and based on the signal information that's coming into the amplifier, we basically set up every kit to where you're getting the most efficient signal to the speaker that allows it to play as loud as possible without ever causing any damage. So what that means is if you have music that doesn't have as much bass, we're actually adding bass to that to make it sound, fuller. If you have music that, if your next track has a ton of bass, we're actually filtering that out to keep it always at a threshold where the speaker's safe.
Okay.
Meanwhile, letting the speaker just continue to play as loud as it possibly can.
All right. I'm going to try to translate that into a little bit more layman's terms. Okay. So what you're saying, these amplifiers have built-in DSP, right?
No, the DSP is a separate module.
Oh, it's a separate module. Okay.
Yeah.
And it comes together in the kit?
Correct. The DSP that works for across all of the kits comes with the front speaker kit. So you start with the front speaker kit. You're not adding any other additional electronics if you add on any of the other kits.
So it's scalable, is what you're telling me, basically.
Correct.
Okay, and the DSP is pre-programmed with the appropriate settings to optimize the playback from the speakers and the amplifier. Okay.
Yeah.
DSP all levels, as far as is this like the signature Wet Sounds kind of sound that you've kind of pre-programmed that everybody loves? Is that how this works, and how did you go about tuning that?
So it is about getting the on-road experience, right? Mm-hmm. So getting as much out of the system depending on how it's being used. So if you have any of the kits and you listen to the system at half volume, you're actually going to have pretty decent bass response compared to a lot of the other products you see out there. And that goes across, all the different kits, all the different speaker configurations. And that updates depending on what kit you've installed. So through the app, you actually tell the app what kit you've installed. And we're doing everything from, time alignment to per channel equalization so that we're getting the most out of each speaker location pending on what other speakers are in it.
Right.
So we're really trying to optimize where if you do add on one of the kits, you do actually get that perceivable gain. Whereas, a lot of times in audio, sometimes you
adding more doesn't mean you're getting
products and you're kind of creating a new problem.
Yes.
So that's actually happening, in the background. Also, when you update the app or you update the kit that you've installed, the DSP tune updates to make sure that you get the most out of that upgrade.
For the system that you actually have going.
Correct.
And it's scalable and it's dynamic. All things
Correct.
That are cool. All right, Lee, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the features, not just the features, but why and who is the perfect customer for these new Wet Sound motorcycle kits. We'll be right back.
Hey, Paul with SiriusXM here. And with 3 easy steps, you can maximize your business. Number 1, make sure you have the current promotional material up. Understand the offer? Make sure your team knows it. 2, have a unit on display. Set the presets to different genres so you can recommend and play the music that your customer listens to. And number 3, think about this. Most vehicles you're replacing the head unit with already has a SiriusXM tuner in it. So adding it just requires an antenna adapter, a SiriusXM tuner. It's a 30-second install and you're done. So there it is, guys. 3 easy steps to maximize every sale this season with SiriusXM.
All right, again, joining us is Lee Teeples from Wet Sounds. We're talking motorcycle audio kits new for Wet Sounds for 2026. Lee, you did a brilliant job kind of walking us through the development, the mindset, some of the key features of these new motorcycle kits. Let's talk about real world feedback and sell through and all this type of stuff. The motorcycle audio category is way bigger than I ever thought it would be, to be honest with you. Honestly, I remember it was a thing, but now it's like really a thing. Like every brand you can think of is probably diving into motorcycle audio. It's in some form, shape, or manner, right? Some big brands, some no-name brands. It's a little diverse, but that also tells you it's a healthy market that's growing, right? When more people are involved. Wet Sounds coming into the category brings a certain expertise. I want to reiterate the robustness of your products, known for its durability. I think is a key point to make here when it comes to anything Wet Sounds. But having said that, you mentioned earlier on, the motorcycle enthusiast is playing this stuff at one volume level for 8 hours a day through rain or shine, in desert or whatever else. and you've got to deliver on that, right? Like these are not inexpensive products. These are, there's a fair price point to them, and they have to deliver a certain expectation. So let's talk about that expectation as far as output. How would you describe? I know we're on a podcast and we're just talking, but how would you describe the output for somebody who's looking to upgrade their audio on their bike? What would they expect?
So it's an upgrade, right? I mean that's the key that we were going here. I've seen tons of custom bikes. I think that is a really fun world, and my background is custom installation. So I encourage all those guys, keep doing it, keep pushing the envelope, keep having fun with it. Um, this is somewhere where it's a very valuable upgrade over the factory audio system. Um, but I'm not saying that we're crushing the world for that opportunity for the custom guy to really take it to the next level, and hopefully they know that they can do that with Wet Sounds products as well. But with this being a plug and play kit, the goal was to balance the what can we get out of something that is purely plug and play, that is a, like I said, valuable upgrade over the factory. Um,
I just want to mention, you and I, we're of that world, custom fab, routers, bits, everything, layers, plexi, like all the things, right? But
yeah.
let's just say there's a lot of bike owners out there that are scared of that word custom. In fact,
Yep.
they won't even look at something unless they feel it's a seamless integration into what they've invested in as their baby, which is their bike.
Well, here's
So,
another
yeah.
reality to all that is, if you took all of the installers that are capable custom fab guys in our industry,
Hmm.
there's only so many hours in the day.
That's right.
There are way more Harley owners that need upgraded sound than the custom army can provide. So this was really to take the complete opposite approach and make more people more money, and give this product to more people. So making it consistent, making it fast, is really the way to do it.
Reliable, repeatable results, right? You know what it's going to sound like, especially if you've done one or two, so you can sell it better, because you know what the final result is, so you can describe it perfectly well. I mean, listen, do not discount having a demo bike. I can't repeat that enough times for anything that we talk about here on CMA. Nothing beats a real demo in your showroom. However, what the point I'm trying to make is, what I believe Wet Sounds has done is created a repeatable, high performance upgrade system that's easy to install, that's fluid in the bay, right? And that you could repeat over and over, knowing the type of results that you're going to get. Um, I'm going to dig into, when this kit came out, there's been some comments, and I want to bring some of these comments to see your reaction. We talked about the DSP, for example, and sound bars is a great example of this. Like sound bars, all sound bars have DSP in them. They're locked in, and that's how it's going to work. And nobody seems to have a problem with that. But for some reason, when you tell people, "Oh, this is a non-tunable DSP," they be like, "Oh, what do you mean I can't tune it?" So
Right.
here's your opportunity. You had the choice. You made a choice.
Yeah.
Why?
I think that's a great comparison. And honestly, Ben, I never even thought about it. But the soundbar is for a particular kind of customer. It is also a turnkey solution. It's so that when it doesn't require custom work, it doesn't require a expert installer, and it's the expectation is it's a speaker. So the way it sounds is the way it sounds.
Correct.
And it's up to us to make sure that that is an acceptable level of performance. But that's really as far as it goes. Can there be better systems than a soundbar? Absolutely. It gets into a different customer, different installer, different sales. Um, so I think it's a great comparison. It's exactly what we did here. Is this is a system, that again anybody can install, and the results just happen. Um, in our industry, I think that two of the most attended trainings that you will see at all of the trade shows are DSP and fundamentals of audio and gain settings.
Yes.
Gain settings is something that has been taught since probably before I was born, honestly, but I've been attending them since the '90s, and it's surprising how much room for error there is in that.
How many
There's
tweeters have been claimed under warranty? I'm just throwing it out there. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah. So yeah, again, that's one of those consistency things, it's really key, is to, get it all set up where it can play as loud as possible and it lasts. Now I do want to add the app does have a 5-band EQ.
Okay, so there is some salt and pepper.
So the personalization of the audio can be added with those 5 bands, and the DSP will still account for that. It doesn't override it. It just, you can't break it. So like, let's say you go in and you got the guy that wants a really bright sounding system. Well, we're going to let them turn it up until it's too much, and we're going to protect our product. So, but it's still there to personalize the sound.
There's 2 things I want to say, Lee. Number 1, I don't believe the customer for motorcycle audio walks into a shop thinking, "Oh, I need DSP." You know what I mean? They expect to have better sound. That is why they're spending the money. It's just to have better sound. So, I think it's a little bit overplayed, in my opinion. And this is no shade on people or brands that sell DSP. I think there's a purpose for it, especially for high-end custom builds. But the expectation from the end user, I don't believe, priority number 1, 2, or 3 is, it has to have a DSP. Yeah. That's not, from a user perspective.
I mean, a parallel to this is, engine management, aftermarket tuners. If I have a, brand new F-250 and I can plug a module into it and get an extra 100 horsepower out of it, that's easy. That's the route I want to go. Now, can there be other things done to it? Sure. But like, you got to find the guy you trust. Yeah. You got to deal with the repercussions if you mess something up. So that learning curve is, really the path there, is, and this doesn't require that. You don't have to be the expert in DSP. Exactly. And we're solving a ton of DSP problems in the background without anybody else having to.
Like you said, turnkey.
Yeah.
The second point I want to bring up, expediency in the install bay. Guys, we all love doing custom audio. We all love that big fat ticket that comes in and you're going to spend the next 6 weeks to 2 months on building. But how cool would it be, Lee, if you actually had quick turnovers and pop out 8 bikes in a month? I mean, how cool would that be?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if I could go back and give my custom install, younger self advice, is pull away from that custom install long enough to make some money. Get that easy job knocked out so you can go back to that passion project. You get buried in those jobs, and even when you are billing correctly and all that stuff, having a quick ticket with some product tied to it, I'd probably be driving a different car today if I would have taken that advice when I was younger.
But you know what it is? It comes down to balance. There's going to be 10% of shops that only do custom. There's going to be 10% of shops that only do, OEM plus, we'll call it. Yeah. But if you want to be successful, this is my humble opinion, you need a good balance. You want the big builds to kind of set your street cred, if you will, right, in the neighborhood that you're in. Oh, these are the guys because they can pull off this. But you also want to be the efficient brand and shop that can turn them over, get great results, and the people come back for more because you were so efficient. So I think it's a balance, right? And I think this product lines up to achieve that goal.
That is exactly what the goal was. It's just that balance that works.
Okay. We're at the end of the conversation. You've been a very amazing guest. Thank you for joining us today. I do have one big question for you. When I asked you about applications, I noticed you talked a lot about the most popular ones, right? The sub 23s. I would be remiss and probably get shamed online if I didn't ask you, what about the 24s? Because that's kind of, it's been out 2 years now. There's a lot of 24s getting out there. So
sure. And, motorcycle owners tend to spend the most amount of money on their bike the first couple of years of ownership. So it's really important. It is in the works. And I'm really, being a product development guy, I'm more excited to talk about the new stuff always, right? And when I say new stuff, I mean stuff that nobody doesn't even know about yet, right? So this was a really good project for us, the 14 to 23. Learned a lot of stuff along the way. So we do have some exciting stuff in the future coming that will be for the new bikes. And we're really, competing against what we've already done. And we're not going to be satisfied until we outperform ourselves on the next one. So, call it within the next 12 months, you'll see new kits that are pretty impressive for the new bikes.
Listen, if you like what you hear and you want to find out more information about the new Motorcycle Audio Solutions turnkey packages coming to you from Wet Sounds, I do encourage you to check out the website at wetsounds.com. Lee, thank you so much for joining us today. That's it for the CMA Connected. Listen, if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe below. Better yet, hit the notifications button because we're always coming to you with more great mobile electronics content. I'm your host, Ben Wu. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by SiriusXM. Until next time, we connect.